Stay tuned for a retro gaming video with your host Big Friendly here at the Gen X Memories YouTube channel.
Hey everybody, Big Friendly with Gen X Memories. I'm doing something a little different this time. I was just doing some basic research and trying to find some stuff, just looking for ideas. And I came across a game that was a prototype that was never released called Arkyology. Now, Arkyology is a Christian-based game, and I've had no idea that any games like this existed back in the Atari's time. I remember there being some for the Nintendo, the NES. I never played any of them, but I do remember, you would see them from time to time. I never knew anybody ever played with them. But anyway, this is a fascinating story. If you like video game history, I'm going to show you some stuff from the time this game was being developed all the way up until 2022. Some very interesting things happened. But let me go ahead and play a game. I'm going to play one round, just so y'all can see how, maybe y'all haven't seen it, you can see how the game works. Won't take long, and then we'll move on from there. All right, let's play the game. Okay, Arkyology is a platformer, and basically you're Noah, and you're on your ark, on your boat, and Noah's got sporting some cool purple clothes there. But anyway, it's basically two stages per level. The object is to open the doors where the animals are, and it looks like a hammer, but I guess that's where you just jump and grab it. Now, Noah, his vertical is about as good as mine. He can jump about 2 inches off the ground, it looks like, so you have to time it just right. But once you open up all of the doors, then you'll feed the animals. Now that's a porcupine going across the top, and he's dropping quills. If you stay to the far right or far left of the screen, he can't get you. He can't go all the way over there, so it's kind of a safe zone. And there are other things like birds and turtles that come across the screen that will try to kill you. You can duck. There you go. It has to me, and somebody else said this, and I agree, it has an Activision type of look to it. I mean, the font style, with the scoring and all, definitely looks like Activision, but it just kind of has an Activision feel. Okay, now, you feed the animals, so you see that it's pretty cool. They have different animals. You see the giraffe. They have different ones. It's pretty neat. And of course, as you go, the game progressively gets more difficult. Now, there's no timer. Most of these games back then had a bonus timer that counted down. This one does not, so you don't have to hurry. In fact, if you wanted to try to get a really high score, I think patience would be the big thing. Just don't get into any kind of rush at all. But I'm going to show you a real quick clip after I play this first round, and I'm already almost done. I'll show you just a clip of it a few rounds into the game, and you'll see it. Things move a lot faster. The controls and everything are pretty good. Sometimes getting off the ladders, like in the middle and on the top, can be kind of a pain in the butt. And jumping up, with a little practice, it's not bad, but when you first start playing, jumping up and opening the doors and trying to hit the animals to feed them can be kind of a challenge. Sometimes, especially when it gets harder, you won't get down there in time, but what happens is another animal just appears in one of the windows. Porcupine dropping quills. Okay, see, now I have to go all the way back down to you. So you gotta kind of hurry. Okay, one left. And after you finish the level, you have this little screen where Noah's getting some shut-eye. I will show you real quick, a little later in the game, I'll show you a clip of just how much harder it gets. Okay, this is round 4, day 4, round 4. Look at the quills. And you see, and then you also have this a little alligator. It whenever you get on the level it's on, it will come over, and you can jump. I mean, technically you can jump over it, but it's really, really hard. You know, since your guy can't really jump that high, it's not worth even trying. The alligator will come over. You know, if you stay on that same level, he'll come all the way over. So you have to kind of lure him over to get him out of the way, then, you know, take care of things. So, but you see, you just see how hard it gets. Okay. Okay, now at the beginning of the video, I told y'all that there was some interesting history based on this archaeology game. And this is what I found when I started doing some digging, and I think it's pretty awesome. Now, way back in December 25th of 2009, CRV started this thread, Arkyology new prototype discovered, finished game. I've been researching a development company called Home Computer Software. In the course of said research, I found this old Chicago Tribune article about upcoming Sparrow products. Okay, now Sparrow was the company that actually made the game, these Arkyology. Now they actually, I mean, this is the only one they have on Atari Age, but they only released one game for the 2600, and it was called the Music Machine. And as you can imagine, as you can see here, it's a 10, unbelievably rare. I mean, no surprise really. I doubt they made many of them because they weren't expecting to sell a lot. They probably were just going to have them in their, you know, in the Christian bookstores, etc., etc. Let's get a close look at that box. Pretty cool. Be nice to have that, wouldn't it? Okay, now let's jump back over here to the thread. According to InfoWorld, Home Computer Software had a joint venture agreement with Sparrow. I assume HCS would have developed these just like the Music Machine, while Sparrow would market and distribute them. This link does work. And the InfoWorld is just an old computer magazine from way back. I've never even heard of it, but you can see it's October 3rd of 1983. And on page 22, they have a small little article here. It says, computer games introduced at Family Bible Fun Breakfast. Sparrow Distribution of Canoga Park, California is hosting coast-to-coast breakfast meetings to introduce its Family Bible Fun computer game series to Christian bookstores, churches, and schools. Prior presentations have been made at regional Christian Bookseller Association meetings. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read the rest. It's just some basic information. Now, this is on there. If y'all want to go find it, you can read it. Now, initially, when this was posted, you know, only 2 people responded. Wonder if the game was ever released. If so, that would be a nice find. I'm assuming neither game described was released, and that was it. Like many threads on Atari, they just faded into the distance. All totally forgotten about. Until 5 years later, when a man named Paul Walters chimed in, and Paul just happens to be one of the people who worked on these games for the company he worked for Sparrow. And he says, I know I'm replying to a very old post, but I just stumbled on this forum and I thought I'd give a little insight into these 2 games, Arkyology and David and Goliath. And he basically talks about working from 82 to 84, who he worked for. He even mentions the other programmers who he worked in conjunction with to make these games. The David and Goliath game was never completed. They worked on it, but it didn't get finished. And at the end of this, he says, by the way, I have a game ROM of Arkyology, probably the only one in existence. You think that would get some attention on Atari Age? Yeah, it does. Really? So naturally, you know, that really got some people excited. You know, any chance for some pictures or video could be released so we can see the game. Now, I even chimed in on this. Now, I don't remember writing this. I wasn't as active on Atari Age back then, but this was This was in 2015, so this is, you know, almost 10 years ago, 9.5 years ago. But now CPU Wiz starts posting, and I don't know if, I'm assuming maybe Paul gave him a copy of the ROM, I'm assuming. I don't know, maybe they talked behind the scenes. Opening screen, and then he's playing the game, and of course everybody's looking at that going, man, by the way, it's not April, this is for real, and no, don't ask. So this goes on for quite a while. They keep talking about it. He gives more great information about his career and some of the things that he did. Now on page 2, somebody finally just comes out and flat out asks, any chance of releasing the ROM or cartridge, or at least a video? And Paul says, maybe we're talking. Now Paul eventually does release a little video that you can see the game in action. He does do that. Now the ROM has not been dropped yet. This is September 15th, only a few days after the start of the thread, and there's already been a lot of people jumping in on this thing. And it has been put up to Atari Mania, but not the ROM itself, just the information about the game. And Paul's at 1 player right, and 2 players all turns play the game as well. Yes, it's only 1 player. And to everyone, thanks so much for your kind words. I'm glad the work I did over 30 years ago is of interest today. We are looking into the best way to do a proper release of Arkyology like it should have been done 30 years ago. Stay tuned. Okay, so this is looking very promising. I mean, I can certainly see how it would have been exciting. Okay, so people have been talking about this thing. It's October 5th, 2015, and 6 months later, what happened to this? Is there going to be a release? And it kind of went on like this for, it seemed like years. I mean, but you got the impression something was going to happen with this. There was going to actually be a physical release of this game. And CPU Wiz responds, yes, there will be. We both have had a crazy time in real life, but 100 PCBs have already been prepped for getting EEPROMs on them. Maybe one of the conventions this year. So hey, all right, this is looking really cool. Okay, 5 months later, I just checked. It's October 8th, 2016. I just checked back in. As CPU Wiz stated, there is a lot going on that needed sorting out before proper attention could be given to getting this game released. I'll work with CPU Wiz to get this cartridge out soon, and I very much appreciate everyone's patience. I'd like the first release to be at a show with serial number starting at 1, and subsequently I hope to have it readily available to all. 6 months later, 7 months later, a bump. And, nobody forgot about this thing. Everybody was really interested in this, and it seemed like occasionally something would come up that you thought it was eventually going to happen. Okay, then on December 7th, 2017, no time to respond properly, personal issues on programmer side, everything is ready. I have the ROM and materials given, I don't lose them. Again, do not ask me for the ROM, just like all the other protos I'm entrusted with. Okay, so CPU Wiz chimes in, everything's looking like it's taking a long time, but hey, it's gonna happen. Okay, so on August 31st, 2018, Paul post, it's been a while since this thread was opened. I originally wanted Arkyology released as a cartridge after all this time. After several years trying, I decided to just release Arkyology here as a ROM file. It's been many years since I, George Hefner, Rick Harris, and Bob Oltis designed and created this game. Those were fun times. I didn't realize at the time what a special era we were in and how enduring the legacy would be. So without further reminiscing, please find the attached to this post the Arkyology game image. This is an 8K game in size and requires an F8 cartridge in order to run. Enjoy, Paul Walters. Now, I don't know what all had been going on in the background, but CPU Wiz obviously was upset. He probably put in tons and tons of time. I'd love to know more about what happened in the background and what was the holdup and why nothing ever it just kind of seemed like it was just kind of in limbo, so to speak. I'm not saying he wasn't doing anything. I'm sure he was trying. I mean, he was excited about this too, it looked like. And of course, there was a little bit of drama with this, and interesting viewpoint. I choose not to engage in mutually hurling recommendations. I'd rather just move on from our failed working relationship, blah, blah, blah. And there's a little bit more that goes into this. You can read it. And of course, everybody's excited. A lot of people are excited because they can, actually play the game now. They still, and I don't blame them, people still were wanting this to be put onto a cartridge officially and have a chance to buy one. But it was cool to obviously to play it, and you see people start posting pictures of scores and everything immediately. And I even think that, y'all correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I think some folks like Nuki Shea and some of the people that are experts at coding in this on Atari and stuff, might have tinkered with the game to maybe make it better or change it up some. I think that's what happened. Okay, now jump ahead to September 7th, 2018. Albert actually jumps in the conversation, answering somebody's question, will this see an official Atari Age release? Perhaps. I believe it will see a proper physical release. That's all I know at the moment. Al. Okay, so even though the ROM is out there, there are still people, asking for a physical game. So it looks like there's still, a market for one, and it looks like it might still happen. Okay, September 13th, 2018. Today I'm happy to announce that Atari Age will build and release the official Arkyology cartridge. As with other Atari Age releases, this will be a box release with the professionally printed materials. A date has not been set, but I expect it will progress quickly. Many thanks for your patience. It's been a 35-year journey that will soon be complete. Paul. Okay, looking good. Okay, September 28, 2018. In the ROM that I released, there is no serial number. In the upcoming Atari Age cartridge release, they will be serialized. There will also be two versions of the game on the released cartridge, the original 1983 version and the new updated version that will have a number of extended features, power-up, speed boost, etc. Sounded promising, man, sounded promising. Okay, we're up to May 23rd, 2020. The long and winding road to release almost seems appropriate for a game that sat in my storage room for nearly 40 years. I've submitted the Arkyology manual to Al. We agreed some time ago that Atari Age would do the official release. It's been sitting for some time now, but perhaps it'd get moving forward. It might help if you could let Al know of your interest. And then Al immediately jumps in, same day. I'm here and I'm reading the thread. I'll review the manual this weekend. Thank you, Al. So still looking good. Now the pandemic is cranking up now. This is back in 2020. Let's keep that in mind. July 18th, 2021, Kev Kelly. I thought that while it was found and released to the public and some have made carts, I thought there would be discussions of an Atari Age release or adding to the game. I may be mistaken. Maybe it was just folks musing out loud. I, for one, would love to see an Atari Age release, as I thought this game to be really polished and both fun and challenging. I thought the programmer did an amazing job and made what could be one of the best looking games from its life. And then Albert the same day responds, this is still on my radar, Al. Okay, now, December 27th, 2021, Paul Walters, he just chimes in with a response to somebody's box art they made. This will be the last time Paul responds, and it goes down. Al responds, and then there's a bump on April 18, 2022, and that's it. It just stops right there. So as far as I can tell, there was never an official release. Y'all let me know if I'm wrong, but I couldn't find one, so I'm assuming there wasn't. And it really is strange how it just kind of withered on the vine and disappeared. And unfortunate. It would have been really cool, but this is a great story. This is one of those just video game history things. It's really, really neat. I'm glad that even though the game didn't come out, I'm glad that Paul got on to Atari Age and shared this. It was really a fascinating read. Of course, I'm just hitting the highlights. I'll link this in the description if y'all want to see it, because there's a lot more stuff in there. He goes into a lot more stuff about people he worked with and other projects he worked on. Really, really fascinating. Okay, y'all saw the end of that thread. It's been almost 3 years since anybody did anything. I'm not going to bump it. I'm not going to jump in there and ask. I am curious, but I'm just going to let it lie. If somebody else does after you see this, that's fine. I found this whole story to be really, really neat. And like I said before, I'm really glad that that Paul Walters shared this with us. This is the kind of stuff that makes retro gaming so much fun and just really, really cool. This was a game that it never seen a light of day, and he had the only copy on a ROM, and thanks to his generosity, we all have a chance to play it. It's really, really cool. Saved it from the crash, so to speak. Now, before I sign off, I got some shout outs. Of course, got a shout out to Atari Age for offering their great site and forum, and also shout out to Insert Clever Name Here. That's his Atari Age handle. He was the one that was nice enough to let me use this box art. He actually created that. There were several people in that thread that did stuff like that. I mean, like I said, I just showed y'all just part of it. A lot of cool stuff in there. If you're interested in it all, check it out. I know this was a little bit different than what I normally do, but I just found it so fascinating. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. Thank y'all so much if you made it to the end. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.